Hey guys, the next grammar question we're going to look at, it's really looking at two very similar grammar rules. The first one is the trick-noun-as-adjective rule. And it says that when you use a noun right in front of a name, you know, tutor Jim Treadway, student Joseph Pulaski, uh, President Bill Clinton. The noun, tutor, student, president, in this case could be being used as an adjective to describe the name right after it. This matters because we don't put a comma between an adjective and the noun it describes. We don't say the red, apple was delicious. We don't put a comma between an adjective and the noun it describes. With a trick noun as adjective, it's when there's a noun in front of the name, and normally it's a noun, student, president, tutor, but here it's being used as an adjective to describe the name right after. Jim Treadway, Joe Pulaski, Bill Clinton. In this case, the noun right before the name does not have a comma in between it and the name. So let's check this out. We'll look at question 46 here, and we'll go through the steps. So, looks like a grammar question. We're going to do the ear, then grammar prediction, and cover the answers. All right, so ear step. In 2002, Minnesota writer and editor, Manung Moore, created a new literary tradition. Sounds a little weird with the commas. Now, grammar step. What rule might it be testing? I think it could be the trick-noun-as-adjective rule. And there's also another rule which is similar. And just hold both these rules in your mind. You'll get these questions right. The other rule, which is very similar, is that when there is that description of the person right in front of the name, if they're the only one of those in the world, then we put commas around the name. So let's check this out on this question. Minnesota writer and editor, Manung Moore. By the way, in the grammar step, I think this is a trick-noun as adjective question / is it the only one in the world? It's kind of both those rules at the same time. So, Manung Moore. Is Manung Moore the only Minnesota writer and editor in the world? Look at the words right in front of the name and ask, are they the only one of these in the world? If they are, it should have two commas around the name. I don't think Manung Moore is the only Minnesota writer and editor. So we should not have commas around this name. And it's actually reinforced. Someone underlined these commas. I think they're wrong. And it's reinforced by the trick-noun-as-adjective rule. Minnesota writer and editor. That would be a noun normally. It's a person. But here it's describing Manung Moore. In that case, we should not have a comma between this trick-noun-as-adjective, Minnesota writer and editor, normally noun, but here being used as an adjective to describe Manung Moore, and the name. So we definitely shouldn't have commas around this name. The only way you would have, oops, sorry about that, just stepped on a children's book. We're just playing a song, I'm not sure if you can hear. The only way you would have commas around the name is if the description right in front of it, they are the only one of those in the world. Hope that song turns off. I'm going to keep it in the video, add a little spice and variety to these videos. All right, so let's check these answers. So we definitely don't like two commas around the name. Let's look at J. Minnesota writer and editor, Manung Moore, comma, created a new literary tradition. That breaks the rule, which says that there's no comma between the subject and the verb, unless there's a non-essential clause in between them. So, Manung Moore, comma, created a new library? No. That is a comma between subject, Manung Moore, and the verb created. So, no good. H, Minnesota writer and editor, comma, Manung Moore. That is like breaking the trick-noun-as-adjective rule. Comma in between the trick-noun-as-adjective and the name. I like G a lot, no commas. And I don't like F because Manung Moore is not the only Minnesota writer and editor in the world. So definitely going for G here. All right. There's one more question on this test, which tests these rules. Let me find it. Okay, 62. So it looks like a grammar question. We're going to cover the answers. You take it on paper. You're going to do that with your hand. Okay. Let's read it. Ear step. One is his mentor Louis Sullivan's idea. The form follows function. All right. Here, I mean, this is weird. I don't like this semicolon followed by a dash. It's definitely not an independent clause before that semicolon. Now, what grammar rules is testing? I think it's probably testing non-essential clauses. That form follows function should probably have dashes around it because you've got this dash down here, which is not underlined, so we know it's correct. I think it needs a dash right here to surround the phrase that form follows function because it's like a non-essential clause. I think the sentence basically would mean the same thing without it. What other grammar rules might it be testing? Maybe since they've mentored Louis Sullivan's idea, they might be testing trick-noun-as-adjective / is it the only one in the world, the comma rules. So we got that prediction. Let's check these answers. All right, G. One is his mentor, comma, Louis Sullivan's idea. Don't like it. It makes it sound like Louis Sullivan's idea is the mentor. Also, mentor is a trick-noun-as-adjective. It's describing Louis Sullivan. Shouldn't have a comma in between mentor and Louis Sullivan. Yeah. Now, H. One is his mentor, comma, Louis Sullivan's idea. That form follows. Again, it's suggesting that the idea is his mentor. I think it's Louis Sullivan who's the mentor. So I don't like that comma in H. J. One is his mentor, Louis Sullivan's idea. Yeah, that works because it doesn't have that semicolon after idea, which is good. And so it's actually not a non-essential clause that form follows function. It's just his idea that form follows function. And then they're using that dash there later on as a colon to introduce an explanation of the phrase, of the idea that form follows function. So we're going to go with J here. So on these questions, just check the description right in front of the name. If they're the only one of those in the world, we're going to have 2 commas around the name. If it's just like, basketball player Lebron James, physicist Albert Einstein, if it's just like a noun, basketball player, physicist, right in front of the name, it's trick-noun-as-adjective. The noun is describing the name. We are not going to have a comma between the trick-noun-as-adjective and the name. So keep memorizing those flashcards, and I hope this shows you how to use those particular rules on these types of questions. Good luck.